I had to keep encouraging myself and telling myself, yes, right now I am walking this wonky, but I know like when I keep showing up daily regardless, in the next few months, I'm going to be totally different. What happens when you do not do something over and over again? When you stop thinking about something or you stop doing something a lot of time, your brain now prunes off that wiring because it's no longer necessary to create room to form new connections. Hello, guys, and welcome to the first episode of Woman Enough. This is a podcast where girlies get to learn and become the best versions of themselves. Today's episode is on confidence, and I'm talking about the fact that confidence is built by evidence, and it is just to emphasize the fact that we need to actually do it scared. Confidence doesn't come first, action does. So confidence does not come from just saying that I'm confident. Confidence comes from you doing something so many times that your brain stops flagging it as a threat and it starts taking it as something familiar. So your brain is hardwired to keep you safe, right? So when you introduce a new activity, or for example, you're trying to start going to the gym, right? That is something new that you're introducing to your system, to your brain. Your brain will flag this as a threat because it is unfamiliar. It's something that your brain doesn't know. And it immediately compartmentalizes this as something that is a threat, that it doesn't need to be existing. So what do you do to make sure that you shift from threat to familiar? Because at the end of the day, what we really need to do is to make things familiar enough for our brain to stop processing them as threats. So you can't wait to feel ready, because when you keep waiting to feel ready, you keep getting stuck, because readiness is not a prerequisite. It's the following product of action. Okay? So it's a result of action. When you do something, you know whether you're ready or not. You don't wait till you feel ready, because you will never feel ready. It's a process. There is mechanics to it. You have to train your brain to start accepting to do something new. Point number 2 is that fear doesn't mean stop, it means matter. So every time you do something, you definitely feel fear inside, especially if it's something new that you're trying to do. And I always say that fear to me is a signal that something actually matters to me. So whenever I feel fear when I'm trying to get myself into new spaces or I'm trying to do something new, I always remind myself that this is not an indicator that I should stop. Rather, it's an indicator that whatever I'm trying to do actually matters to me. If it did not matter, my brain would not elicit an emotional response. Fear is an emotional response. It's an emotional signal. And the moment you learn to work with your emotions and not against your emotions, they show you how much of guidelines they are, okay? So every time you feel fear, this is information that something that you're trying to do is actually important to you, and it does matter, and you should put all of you in it. Okay, then this leads me to point number 3, which is confidence is built in small and unglamorous moments. So you don't wake up one day and you are confident. It is usually built in very small, tiny and invisible wins that we most often than not forget to celebrate, let alone even label as wins. Because every time you show up, every time you take an action, and every time you follow through with something, then those are those small actionable wins that you should celebrate and that are indicators that you are growing towards confidence. So these moments, we most often do not give them attention because they are tiny and unnoticeable, as I mentioned earlier. But these are the moments that create evidence to show that you're actually moving towards confidence and being sure with or of yourself. Then this brings me to point number 4, which is confidence is often misrepresented. Because when you go online or when you open TikTok, Instagram, you will often see these polished and edited reels that show you what confidence is. But really, that is not something that you should be taking and trying to replicate, because at the end of the day, remember, these are polished and edited reels. These creators or these people, they do not let you see the versions of themselves that were not able to do something, because you do not start by knowing, you start by not knowing. So even them, they had those moments, but the thing is, I am not going to come and show you those moments online. I am instead going to come online and shoot, edit, and polish a reel before I post. So you do not sit back and say, "Oh, no, 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 confidence." No, it's not. It doesn't just come. You have to always. It's a process, and every single day you have to remind yourself. Remember, I said it's in these moments of showing up, especially when you don't feel like showing up or when it feels difficult, and you show up. Those are the greater, the mountains that show you that, yeah, you're growing. And it's not loudness. Confidence is not loudness, and it's not being perfect. That's the point. It does being a confident person. It doesn't mean you're loud. It doesn't mean that you occupy or you take up too much space. Yes, you do take up space, but you don't overdo it, right? And it's also not confident. It's not perfection, sorry. It doesn't mean that you're going to wake up tomorrow and then you're going to be perfect at whatever it is that you're trying to do. No, you will still keep making mistakes. But what differentiates a confident person and a person who is just existing is in those moments when you're low, in those moments when you make those mistakes, when you go below your own expectations. What exactly do you do with those moments? Do you punish yourself, or do you pick yourself up and keep moving forward? Point number 5, trust is built through failure. Okay? The more you fail, the more you trust yourself. That's the point. Because I remember I started training like as a model. Because I remember the first day I showed up to a contest. I had never modeled before. I had never done anything, like I was unfamiliar. It was unfamiliar, okay? Then I showed up, and then when I got there, everybody else was skilled. And by skilled, I mean skilled. These girls could walk. These girls they had attitude, they had the confidence, like you could feel. So I felt so intimidated, and I felt like, oh my God, should I just pack up my shoes and go back to my house and try this next time? But in those moments where I was feeling very embarrassed by the fact that I am the one who is not catching up while everybody else seems to be doing this effortlessly, they were very difficult moments, to be honest. They were really tough. You don't know how difficult it is showing up somewhere and you're the one who is lagging behind, like ningumu. But I had to keep encouraging myself and telling myself, yes, right now I am walking this wonky, but I know, like, when I keep showing up daily regardless, in the next few months, I'm going to be totally different. And honestly, if I look at my progress from like months ago to now, there is a lot of progress. I couldn't see it when it was compounding, but looking back now, I can actually see that I made progress and I trust myself more. Sai, I can put on my heels, nishuke hapa chini, and I start strutting. Why? Because I trust myself and I know I'm not going to disappoint. Why? Because I have walked with myself throughout the whole process, and I have seen the changes. I have seen change compound, and that's the same thing I am just saying, like, change compounds, and with these little changes, with these little whatevers, then you get a confident person, a person who always lifts themselves up regardless of any failure, regardless of any setback. You're still going to lift yourself up and pat yourself in the back and tell yourself you got this. The last point, or the second last point, sorry, is doing it scared actually changes your self-perception. And I think I have explained that point with the previous point. The fact that the more you keep practicing something and the more you keep doing it scared, the more you change your self-perception. Because if you do something, for example, say I'm trying to do a backflip and I try to do it and I do it. Do you know how much that will rewire my brain? It will literally change me to believe that I can do things, I can do like other things. The way you change your mind or the way you change your brain is through neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is this concept in neuroscience that your brain can change its wiring or its connections. So I like to think of the brain as a radio or a frequency tuner, because it's made up of these tiny cells that are called neurons, and these neurons are the ones that process the information that goes in through our 5 or more senses, and it processes this information and then it interprets it for us to perceive, right? So neuroplasticity, it shows that your brain, the way it was wired as a child, because your brain gets wired as a child. Ukiwa mdogo, your brain has a lot of neuroplasticity going on. And this means that when you do something, your brain, sasa, unaona your wiring that I'm saying, it's like a connection in a malizika from the N terminal to the P terminal, like ni kama a complete circuit. And then now that allows you to perceive something, right? So the moment you do something new, your brain creates a new circuit for that something new that you have done, right? And when it does that, the more you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, the more this new circuit or this new wiring that has been made becomes stronger. The stronger it is, the more easy it is for your brain to reference to this connection. And these connections are all together are the ones that create you or your personality or who you think you are. So you see how doing something simple or something so mundane can cause a lot of, and it's like the ripple effect. You do something so small and then it causes a lot of difference or a big change. And what happens when you do not do something over and over again? For example, unaweza pata as a child, for example, me as a child, I could use my under tongue to spray out saliva. But I have been trying to do that thing right now as an adult, and I can't do it because I stopped doing it at some point as a teenager, and my brain discarded that circuit or that connection. And that is what happens when you stop thinking about something or you stop doing something a lot of time. Your brain now prunes off that wiring because it's no longer necessary to create room to form new connections. So confidence is not something that appears before action. It is something that is built because of action. So welcome to this segment where I share illusions. And these are optical illusions that help you to realize how much of reality is being constructed by your brain rather than being reflected to you. So the dress illusion. So when you look at this dress, what is the color of the dress? So most people will say it's blue and black. Others will say it's gold and white. Personally, when I looked at it the first time, I saw blue and black. But this illusion caused a lot of discourse online, and people actually, even real families were being torn apart by something. Like, people were not believing, like, how is this something that we can all see? Why are we seeing different things? it's just a dress. Why is it that everybody is saying something different? And everybody was so undermined. Mtu mwenye alikuwa anaona yellow and white, they were seeing yellow and white, and you can't tell them that it's gold, sorry. And those who are saying blue and black, you couldn't tell them that it's not blue and black. So why is it that people saw different colors on this dress? Apparently, your eyes, they get wired to or tailored to the light that you mostly spend your time on or around. So if you happen to be somebody who works indoors or stays indoors a lot of time, that means you're more exposed to the artificial light, which is more yellowish, and that means you're more likely to see the dress as blue and black. And if you spend your time outdoors and you stay outside, that means you are more likely to be exposed to the natural light, which is bluish, and that enables you to see the dress as yellow and white. This shows you how a slight change, something as simple as the light that you're normally exposed to, can deconstruct or can detangle your reality, you know. Like, sasa hatujui, okay, the real dress is actually blue and black. But those people who are seeing gold and white, it's not like their eyes are bad or there's something wrong. It's just that that's how their brain is predisposed to interpret. So how does this tie into everything? What you're exposed to, or your environment, is really determinant of how you perceive your own reality. Okay, so be careful with the spaces you choose to be in, with the people you choose to align yourself with, because your environment and your surrounding directly impacts how you perceive reality. And how you perceive reality is literally what is directly affecting how you live your life. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. See you guys on the next episode. Bye.